Now let's take a look at learning paths from the perspective of the teacher. There are two ways to make a path, and the one that seems the most intuitive is actually the method that I prefer the very least. So we can come to the tree and click add, or you can simply come to a folder and click the add button. And then in the middle section under activities, there is now an option called learning paths. Once you click there, it asks you to begin adding your resources. The reason I don't like this path is because you have to add each resource one at a time, and it feels like you don't have a lot of ability to plan your path out ahead of time. I could say I want to add resources from my course, and then I could drill down into a folder and get any resource that I wanted. Unfortunately, when you select a resource from your course, it removes it from this folder and adds it into a new folder for the learning path. Then if you ever delete the learning path, your resources are gone. So I really don't like this feature. So I just want to make sure you know there is a much better way to create a learning path. So the way that I prefer is to create a folder with your resources. So here are my space resources. I'm going to go ahead and open that up so you can see what's inside. I have some pages, some links, I have an assessment, I have an assignment, a note, I have a task, a discussion thread. All in all, quite a few activities there. So once I'm looking everything over, pretty sure I've got it in the order that I would like for it to appear for students in, then I simply make sure again that I'm in the right folder, come across to the three small dots, and I can say, make this folder a learning path. So once I do that, it turns it into a path. For an activity such as a page, there's no criteria for me to set because you simply read or look at a page. So if viewed, move on. Same thing with a task. If viewed, you can, or the link rather, you can view it and move on. But when we get to a test or assessment, I need to set some criteria. It's going to default you to, if completed, move to the next step, meaning whatever a student scores, they're going to be able to move on. But I can change that by saying if the student scores at least 80%, I would like for that student to skip steps 4 and 5 and move on down to step 6. Perhaps steps 4 and 5 are the remediation because the student did not make 80% and did not meet the standards. So otherwise, just continue right on to step 4 and step 5. So the next step is the student's going to look at another page of information, look at another note of information, and then we're going to have an assignment. If submitted, if the assignment is completed and submitted, move to the next step, meaning no matter what the student submits, they will be able to move on. The teacher has the ability to change it to completed. It's important to know that if you change it to completed, the student must wait on you to look at the assignment before they can move on. You will be in charge of that. But if you leave it at submitted, they will get the next step released to them as soon as they've hit the submit button. Next, we have a discussion, and then we have a task. A task is an interesting feature of itslearning. It allows you to take something that the student does outside of itslearning. Perhaps they're doing a worksheet in the class or building a model with some materials that you've provided. You can then put that task into itslearning and include it in this path. So adding the task allows you to hold students accountable for tasks that they complete outside of itslearning. So they'll get a yes or no toggle button. Once they've completed the task, they'll come back to the path and say, yes, I did what I was supposed to do. Next, we have another assessment. Just like before, I'm going to say if student scores at least 80%, they are done. I would like for them to move to the finish. Otherwise, I would like the students to do step 10 in the path. When I'm completely finished adding my criteria, I'll say I want to complete the path, and then I would come up and make it visible for students. Up until the time that students begin completing the path, if no student has logged in and clicked the start button yet, you can always come back here and edit the path. You can also come to the 3 small dots and you can turn your list of resources back into a normal folder again with the click of a button. Once students have begun the path, this is not possible anymore. So I do recommend that you keep a clean copy of all of your folder of resources somewhere else in your course. You could leave it inactive, or your grade level could complete a path together in your grade level collaboration course, and everyone could copy it over to your own conduct or other course, and then you would have that clean copy available to you at all times back in the collaboration course. Thanks for watching, and I hope you enjoy making LearnPaths.